Hello, hello. Looks like we are live. Let me get my own screen over here going. Hope everybody is doing well. Hello there. I've already joined. Welcome to the chat. Hopefully you all can. Oh, my sound system is not right. Let me change my audio. All right, that should sound a little bit better for everybody. Give me a thumbs up or let me know in the comments if this is a better quality for you all. Hopefully it is. Who wants to be the first one to break the comments? Who wants to be the first one to come in? We're going to be doing some polls today as well, or at least one that I want to do. And I'm only going to be able to do those over on the YouTube side of the house. The Facebook group, if you are watching from there, does not allow me to do polls, or at least I've not figured out a way to do polls there while going live. Who all do we have in the chat, if anyone? Looks like there's a few people coming in from YouTube. Hope everybody's having a great week. We've got a thunderstorm going on here. I don't know if you can see outside. It's going to be kind of overexposed. We've got a storm coming through right now in Miami. So if you hear some claps of lightning, that is me. That is what is going on down here. Good evening. Good evening. Who all do we have coming in the comments? I'm curious to see who's going to be the first one to break the comments. We've not heard from anybody yet. Normally, you all are a more talkative bunch. Karen breaking the first one, first commenter. Thank you, Karen. Always coming in here last week as well. And so, true to my word, I am trying to be more consistent with live streams. These are fun, these are exciting for me to do, to get on here, come and talk with you all. And this is a great way to do it. Takes a little effort for me. So, I just want to come talk about cruises, hang out for a little bit, and we'll take it from there. So, always a pleasure. All right. Hey, Eugene or Gene. I keep saying Eugene because it's in your screen name, but I know you go by Gene. And we got Greg. Long time no chat. Welcome. You missed the last live last week, Greg. I am trying to do better, as I was just saying. So I'm going to try to do like every Tuesday night, I think is what I'm going to lean towards. It may shift based on schedules, but Tuesdays seem to be a really good time for me. Curious if 7, 7:30, or 8 works better for you all. I'm going to throw that into a poll real quick just to see what time works best. What time on? So I can do it starting as early as 7. The reason I like 7 is it means I don't have to go too terribly late because I am a sleepyhead. You all know I like to get some sleep. And so normally I'm in bed by 10:30. And if I stay up all night chatting with you all, I don't get to sleep as I should, or my body doesn't wind down. So let's see here. Let's get this poll going. So this poll is only for those on YouTube. No offense to those who are watching on Facebook, but I just don't know how to get it over there. It looks like most of you are on YouTube though. So let me know in the poll what time works best for you all. I can make any of those really work. I think back when I used to do them before, we were doing them at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. I think it was 7:30 actually, but I think the 7 p.m. might work a little bit better, but let me know. Hey, David, welcome back. So I've got, of the comments, 3 of the 4 have been on a group cruise, and that's one thing that I wanted to chat through tonight with you all as well, is seeing where you might want to go in January for a group cruise. Oh, Karen, like I wish that I was also an early riser, but I am early to bed and late to wake up. I probably don't wake up until about 8 o'clock most mornings, even though I'm in bed probably around 10:15, 10:30, and fast asleep by 10:45, just about every single night. Hey, Margot, welcome back. Apologies, Margot, on getting you wrong on the last one. I saw your comment afterwards, and when it's I can't see that the pictures are so small on here. Margot and me got to hang out. She was on the Oceana cruise with me, and me and Mom were and Margot were all taking the Amtrak back from Tampa to Miami. Um, yes, Tampa to Miami, and so it was running late. We had some time to kill, but we found an excellent coffee shop right there by the Tampa port that we I think hung out for like 5, 6 hours maybe. We went for breakfast and stayed for lunch is how it worked out. But it was great getting to know Margot there as well. So I just the joys of going on cruises. I know I talked about on Ocean. I've got a lot of content coming out on them currently, on how it was an older crowd, and so it was. And one thing that I very quickly recognized is by being, I'll say, younger or more youthful. I don't know what the right term here is. People really take to you. They want to speak. They want to hang out. And so this was just, if you're a people person, Oceana was a really good cruise to go on to meet people, to have conversations. There were people constantly looking to hang out, to grab a drink with you, and just to make some new friends. It was really refreshing to kind of see that. And I think it goes back to why I love small ships so much, because you get this sense of community. You're all kind of in it the same. When you get on large ship with 7, 8,000 guests, you kind of feel like a number sometimes, or you can very easily blend into the crowd and meet somebody on the first night and then never see them again. On Oceana, with literally 600 people on our sailing, that was not the case. I would see you at breakfast, and then we'd see you at lunch, dinner. We'd see you the entire time, and it makes it really nice to be able to build relationships with people, to get to know them, learn their stories. Super great cruise because of that. You do, Karen. I would love to have you. And so we'll talk about, I think I picked out a longer one, or at least I picked out three different longer ones based on the feedback from last week on what you all were kind of thinking. So my strategy, not to jump on into it, is going to be, let's do a longer cruise in January, and then maybe a shorter cruise either a few months after or later on in the year. I don't know if I want to have two of them going at the same time, because I'd really love everybody just to come on one. And if I do a 7 night and then have like a weekend cruise soon after that, maybe they get different people and it still would work. But that's kind of where my thoughts are at this point. Austin, I'm always excited when Wi-Fi works on cruise ships from Navigator of the Seas. Austin, where is Navigator these days? I've not been on her in a hot minute, but I used to love going on Navigator. She was one of the earlier ships doing weekends here out of Miami, and so I've gotten to go on her a good number of times. But it's been a while. Let me actually see, how many times have I been on Navigator? This is, let's see here. Navigator. Oh, so it's still a good bit of them. I've been on Navigator 22 different times, all 3 nights except for one 4 night. And my first sailing on her was actually in 2017 on a 9 night cruise that I did to the Southern Caribbean. So just fun little information. They're always like my trivia on what I've done or where I've been. Get back to the screen here. But welcome from Navigator. And Adam, I know you're cringing over there. Adam is a good friend as well, and group cruiser too, who hates when I say spreadsheets. There's a tool that he is working on that one day we'll go live with, but it streamlines the entire process, and I am not adopting to the new technology as quickly as I should. And so I know you cringe over there when you hear me say, I'm going to go check on my spreadsheet, when really it could just be as easy as the system telling me if I type it in. Hey, Craig, welcome. I'm glad you could check it live. Enjoy that you like the 7 o'clock as well. I think I'll close out. I think most of you had a chance to vote at this point on what time you like best for lives. I'll leave it open for just a little bit longer, but glad you could make it. This is a routine that, I kind of haven't done since December. It's been 6 months, and I'm finally getting back into having live streams. So greatly appreciate you all coming and hanging out and talking cruise ships. And Austin, you are in LA before it goes to Asia, leaving Matsalan as we speak. Have I been to Matsalan? I don't think so. I've never actually done a cruise south. Well, I say that I have gone south out of Los Angeles, but guess what? They've been weekend cruises. So we have gone to Ensenada and then the little American island off the coast of California. I always forget the name of it. Amelia Island. Is that it? Maybe. Let me know in the comments. You all keep me straight on these things. But those are the only destinations I have been there. I would love to go back to Puerto Vallarta, to Cabo, some of my favorite places. Cabo is my, I think, favorite beach in the world. And also let me know this. I was watching a video of, I think it was Puerto Vallarta yesterday, of all the seaweed that was there. It looked like 100 yards worth of seaweed when you get to the ocean. And, global warming, I think is what they're blaming on it, the rise of the temperature of the water. But let me know if that's been an issue for you all and your cruise. Eugene, that is definitely something that we could consider. Or Gene, I did it again. I see Eugene here in your screen name, and I call you by the wrong thing. So, Gene, there's something we definitely could do is do a 3-4. But the itinerary is not really exciting for that because you basically get private islands twice and Nassau twice. That's going to be the downfall to that. The ones that I've picked out that I'm excited to get you all's feedback on, they're more exciting itineraries. And so I'll be very curious to see what you all. I can always go back to the drawing board if nobody likes them. But hopefully you'll like at least one of them that we have there. Hey, Douglas, welcome back. Always a pleasure. Do an equinox at the end of January, 14 days to Antarctica. Oh, that will be amazing, Greg. That will be a very, very nice trip on the equinox too. So you're gonna have to keep me posted on that. I assume that you're gonna be leaving from Argentina, or maybe if it's 14 nights, probably from Argentina. That wouldn't be Ushuaia. That's much too close. But that's gonna be an amazing trip. Catalina, yes, that is the name of the island I was going for. Thank you, Brickman and Margot. See, I could always depend on you guys all to keep me straight. I mean, the toughest thing for me, and you've seen my videos, is pronouncing names and locations and remembering names and locations. You put me on the spot, I remember absolutely nothing. I know what we did. I even made a full video on what to do in Catalina. Could not remember the name of it to save my life. You're in Celebrity Summit in December. Any opinions on that ship? I like the Summit. I think that she's a really good size class of ship. She did, I think she was doing weekends. Hold on, and I can tell you real quick. I don't know if she's doing weekends or if she had some Thursday night 4 nights that I got to do recently. I want to say she was doing 4 nights. And so I really like Summit. Reflection is the one doing the weekends right now, but Celebrity Summit last year was doing Thursday to Monday morning. So an extended weekend. And on Friday, it went to Key West. So I got to stay in the US on that Sunday, or that Friday, excuse me, which is always great because I get to or have the ability to still get some work done because I'm in the US, which is crucial for me. So I like the Summit. I like it better than Silhouette. I like it better than Reflection. It is a good ship. It is a renovated ship. And so I think you're going to have a blast sailing on her out of Tampa. Oh, Douglas, I've not showed those in a while. I think I promised you guys I was going to take a video of it. The collection continues to grow, especially now that I am all over the place, cruising on many different lines. And so I'm getting all these new ships and blocks that I'm picking up. I shouldn't say blocks. I haven't gotten a block in a little bit. I've got one coming up on Brilliance of the Seas. Brilliance is going to start doing weekends. And so I'm going to be there on its first weekend sailing with Mom. She's going to be tagging along. This is the one right after the transatlantic cruise. But excited to pick up a crystal block there. I've been getting pretty good points over on Celebrity. So excited to be converting those over. Though, interestingly enough, I just found out yesterday that Celebrity erased all of my points. I don't know what happened there. I need to call in or see. But they're giving us notifications on phones now. You have the apps for Royal Caribbean, Celebrity. They're pushing casino notices all the time. They're also letting you know when your points change. You've added them up. In this case, I got a push notification saying you have earned negative 210 points. My entire balance was 210. And so they wiped it, and somehow or another, they've now applied 12 points to that. So I'm just curious where the rest of it's been. I think it's probably from the points choice. strategy and form, I think they got something wrong in how they converted that over. Somebody pressed the wrong button. I don't know what they did. Maybe there's a duplicate number that I'm going to have to go through and sort out. But more to come on that. I'm not even Zenith. I am just a basic captain's member. So I don't want to get on my next cruise, which with them isn't actually for a while, and have absolutely no status, because you all know when you get on a ship to start with, the very first day, guest services is going to have the most people there. And so if you need something from guest services, I normally try to wait till at least the evening of the first night, because they are swamped the first day and the last day they're going to be underwater. And so getting your benefits, getting my drink packages and internet, all that turned on is kind of on the tough side if I don't have it in advance. So I probably will put in some of the work to see if I can't sort that out sooner rather than later. And Austin, I think this was one of my biggest issues. I did on Navigator, I was doing a 343. So it's still probably doing the same run, just longer. And it was freezing. Like I kind of expected it to be like the Caribbean because I thought we were like at the same level. We're going to Mexico. Mexico's warm. It was not. It was breezy. It was cold. It was dreary. The weather patterns in that area of the world are totally different. And I don't think that I necessarily enjoyed it. Going to PV isn't a huge loss. I mean, I do enjoy going to Puerto Vallarta, but it is a tender port. And so it takes a little bit of effort to get there. Same with Cabo. I think Cabo's about a 45-minute ride to get from the ship to the land, which is a bit of an issue. And glad you have not seen any of that seaweed problem. Greg coming in that Summit is also great. You're on her inaugural sailing many years ago. We won't talk about when that sailing actually was, Greg, but it was quite some while ago. And I can honestly say that I've never done an inaugural sailing. I think the closest I've come to it is I was on the third or fourth Utopia sailing, and then I was on the third sailing of Wonder, or excuse me, of World America with MSC. I've, there's a lot of back and forth on doing inaugurals, not doing inaugurals. Number one, I find them to be quite expensive. Everybody wants to go and see the new ship, and so it's pricey. The second piece is I feel like it still has some bugs they need to work out in. Royal Caribbean, where I know they're launching a ton of ships, has, I think, like a solid crew, though, that's now launching their ships. I don't know if they have a launch crew per se, but I feel like the same people that are normally taking ships out and having their inaugural sailing. So I think that they've done a really good job at hopefully making it a little bit more consistent. But anytime that there's a new ship going out, I'm always scared. Okay, it's going to get delayed. They're going to cancel it. Or better yet, they're going to be ahead of schedule. They're going to put people in front of me, and now I'm not on the inaugural sailing anymore. Both of those have happened in the past. Luckily, not to the ones that I've had booked on. So, great question, Margo. And so this is, look, the YouTubers I think are running crazy with this one on celebrity marketing their new milestones between Elite Plus and Zenith. Now, I'm not as familiar. I didn't read the article piece where it was Elite Plus and Zenith, so I may have missed that bit of it, Margot. But what I did see is they're adding in new kickers, if you will, for if you make it to the 6,000 and 9,000 point mark on Celebrity within the Captain's Club program. Now, as most of you on here probably know, it takes 3,000 points to get to Zenith, which is the equivalent of Pinnacle over on Royal Caribbean. And that's a lot. I mean, if you are staying in interior ocean view rooms, you're getting 2 points per night. So on a 7 night cruise, you're going to get 14 points. To make it all the way to Zenith, you need 3,000 of those. So if I do some quick math here, 3,000 divided by 14, that's going to give you 214 7 night sailings you have to do. And so I've got a video that I need to finish up and post on my points choice strategy on why I'm putting all my points with Royal. And it's for that exact reason is I'm just never, I do inside, I do ocean views. If mom's with me, I'll do a balcony or an aqua, but I'm never earning like a big points on celebrity. Like it just doesn't make sense to have 14 points because that's just not a drop in the bucket over there to make any significant status. The Royal Caribbean system, in my opinion, with the Current and Anchor Society, is so much easier to get status on a, I'll say budget, at least booking interior and ocean view rooms. Though you got to check that out because sometimes Celebrity Balcony is cheaper than you're going to find for an Inside or an Ocean View on Royal Caribbean these days. Royal Caribbean, in my personal opinion, is consistently pricing out higher than what Celebrity is. Celebrity is the cheaper, and it's supposed to be the premium experience or more premium experience. I don't know that it technically falls in the premium category, but it's the cheaper experience that I'm finding these days, and so it's another reason I'm going over there. And it just makes more sense to put those points over with Royal Caribbean. So great question there, Douglas. I think I just answered majority of this. I am sending all my points over to RCL, mainly because I am almost at 1750. And so I am coming up on my 2.5 pinnacle status. Not that that is a thing, not even that 2 times pinnacle is a thing, but I'm coming up on having 2.5 times the status for Royal Caribbean. With that, I get another junior cruise, junior suite cruise for 7 nights. I think it's valued at $3,500, $3,600 that I can use on any cruise. And so that is one of the main things that I'm going after right now. It'll probably take me a good bit to get there because I am cruising lots of cruise lines right now. I am not loyal to Royal or even Celebrity, though I am finding myself really gravitating towards Celebrity these days. If I can book it, I absolutely will. But they've pulled their weekend ship. So that gives me a little bit of an issue. The Reflection's gone for a piece of the season. It will be coming back, but I got to be a lot more mindful to make sure I can catch it on weekends when I can. And you'll see, I did try to pull up some. The group cruise that we're going to talk about is a Celebrity sailing as well as one of the options. All right, let me close out this poll and see how everybody came out with. Looks like a vast majority of you came in at 7 p.m., 7:30, 8 o'clock, not a soul. Everybody's asleep by 8 o'clock. You are my kind of people. So it'll definitely be 7 or 7:30. 7:30 is just making sure that I can get home, get settled, get some food going, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Oh, I got it backwards, Adam. Thank you for that. Cabo is the tender. Puerto Vallarta is a Puerto Vallarta. Vallarta is the port. Here's the new milestones for Elite and Elite Plus. I'm not sure that that link came through, Greg. If you tried to send one, I don't think it did it. Or at least I'm not seeing it. Nope, not coming through. And David, just had dinner with David and Meryl, some of my good friends, since I was on land this past weekend. Reflection's only gone the month of October, but that's when I want to go sailing, David. It's the exact month. So I'll find another one. I'm sure that I'll be quite all right. I do have my sabbatical coming up, which will be 4 weeks in Africa and then 2 weeks for a transatlantic crossing. And so I was trying to get a weekend in right before I start that. And not sure I'm going to make it work, but there'll be that. Yeah, apparently there's a restriction on links coming through. If you put it in the comments section, though, granted, I can't see the comments while the live is going, but if you add it as a comment in the video once it's done, people will be able to check that out. So you all are giving me something that I need to research. I didn't realize that they had put in that extra tier in between Elite as well as, Elite Plus and Zenith. It is a heck of a jump to go from the two, so I don't blame them for doing something or for trying to give people something to look forward to. When I was on Royal Caribbean, I never in my mind envisioned that I was going to make it to Pinnacle. It seemed so far away. I remember getting to Diamond Plus and felt like I had really arrived, and I was comfortable with that. And lo and behold, I just kept sailing. And when you sail enough and you put enough years into it, you eventually get some status. And so Royal Caribbean does have the 340 fake tier. I'll call it. It's not a tier, but there's extra perks that have an asterisk on it that say at the 340 mark, you can get those. The biggest one, and this was one that I probably did try to get to because of the benefit here, but it will give you a reduction in the single supplement. based on the time of year. So if you're cruising outside of the summer, it'll give you, instead of paying 200% for your cabin as a solo person, it'll only charge you 150%. And so that has charged me really good money, or saved me really good money over the years. That is the biggest perk. There's also an enhanced level of drinks that you can choose from. So you have the amenities that you can look from. There are additional ones that come in at 340, so you can get a better bottle of wine, though I imagine all of them are not the best wine in the world. Margo, what hotels do I recommend for Miami? And I've had its hits and misses, but normally gravitate towards Miami Beach or airport. So, great question, and I do get this one a lot. And so, what I'll recommend is the airport is going to be one of the cheaper options, shockingly enough. If you're coming in late, it makes a lot of sense just to stay there. There's no reason, especially if you can get on a cruise the next day, to stress out on having to go a long distance into, the actual heart of Miami or over to Miami Beach to get a room if you're here just the night before. You're going to be staying for a while, that changes the conversation a little bit. And so my personal ones is I recommend a lot of them in downtown. Downtown is literally across the street from the cruise port, and I can see most of these hotels from my room, or from this room here. So if you're looking for the most economical, and that's what you're going to find here, you've got the Yotel with YOTEL. You've got the Eve Hotel, YVE, and you've got the Holiday Inn Express, all within a little area here. You've also got a Hyatt that's down the road and a Marriott Courtyard that a lot of people do stay at. Those are going to be more of the, I'll call it budget friendly. Though you're coming to Miami, Margot, make no mistake that there is not a budget to those hotel rooms. They are all going to be pretty expensive. If you want to go to the high end of what you're going to be paying, that's going to be Miami Beach, South Beach all day long, on where you're going to see a really good increase in the prices. If you're coming for a day or two before the cruise, go stay on the beach. I think that is absolutely fine. If you want more of a city vibe, you'd stay in downtown Brickell, even up to Midtown. There's a Hilton up there that a lot of people also enjoy and stay at, that's got good views of the cruise terminal. So I would encourage you to go to Miami Beach if that's where you want to stay. For a beach, you want sun, you want like a classic Miami experience with your Art Deco kind of houses and hotels. Stay in downtown Brickell if you're looking for more of a city vibe, and things to do. So that's what you're really going to find over here. All right, so we've got a few of you on here now, and I see the comments are slowing down a little bit here. So let's jump into what weekend cruise, or not weekend cruise, what group cruise you all might want to do. And so let me get the poll going before I throw this up. My screen's a little done, and I'm just going to do it based on group cruise option 1, 2, and 3. I kind of put together a, what do you call it, a slide that I can show you all. So we'll call it group cruise 1, 2, and I'll add a 3. All right, so with that, I'm going to throw up what they actually are. So here's what I'm thinking. And so, based on everybody's feedback, I was kind of impressed with how adventurous you all were sounding. And so, I focused on one main thing for this. Sometimes I look for what is the best cruise ship that I want to go on? What is a nice cruise ship? The ones that I found, such as the Excel, the Beyond, ones that I would gravitate towards with Celebrity, didn't have great itineraries. And I am, if I'm taking a 7-night cruise at this point, I really want to make sure I'm going somewhere that I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to appreciate it. And I'm going to get to maybe go somewhere new. And so I kind of found these 3 different ones here, and none of them cruise out of Florida. So we're all going to have to fly, unless you're in one of these locations. The first one is out of San Juan. So this is on the Celebrity Constellation, one that I have not been on myself. But it has a really cool Caribbean itinerary here, going to St. Thomas, St. Kitts, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Barbados, some amazing and beautiful islands and beaches. And so I thought this might be a really fun one to go to. Number one, it gets me on a new ship that I've not been on, so I get to do a full ship tour, but it also goes to some really cool ports within the Caribbean that I've not had a chance to frequent recently. You're also going to have two MSC ships on here. So one thing that I've often said about MSC that I love is number one, the value of MSC. And so when I think through how much it costs to go on MSC, they are always going to be a leader in pricing, and you can get a really good experience for an affordable amount. And so you've got the MSC World Asia listed on here. And for those of you that keep up with MSC, this is going to be their new girl. So MSC World Asia is not come out yet. So they are in the process of building her out. I believe at this point, I say she's not out. She may be well on her way, but she's going to be the new girl on the block. She's an Oasis class ship for those of you that are similar to or familiar with Royal Caribbean. It's an Oasis class framework, but it is distinctly MSC. And so the last group cruise we did for 7 nights was on MSC World America. That was that third cruise of MSC World America we talked about. This is going to be an opportunity to go some really neat places on World Asia. You know, it's got Milan, it's got Rome, outside of Rome. You've got Messina, Valletta, and Barcelona. It's got a new country on here for me. So I have not been to Malta. And so I've got some good friends there that I've met on one of my trips way back in the day that I'd love to go and say hello to, but I would love to go and check out Malta one of these days and see if that would be a fun thing to do or fun place to go. You've then got the MSC Eurip. I never can say this word. Euribia. Euribia, that's going to be leaving from Marseille, France. And so I picked this one. It's a very similar kind of itinerary, but it's going to do Palmero. But more importantly, it's actually going down to Tunis, which is in northern Africa. And so this is a huge vacation town, huge tourist kind of place. But I thought it'd be really neat to go to Tunis as well. And so all of these are 7 nights exactly. So let me know in the poll which one you would prefer here. And we'll leave this open for a wee little bit, but let me know where you're thinking. If any of these resonates, and I probably should have put on there, hey, none of these resonate. That should have been an option is Brandon, go back to the drawing board. Let me know if that's your feedback. If that's your feedback, just put it in the comments on, hey, I can't make any of those work. One thing that I've often struggled with planning out group cruises, and this will surprise nobody, is you've got people like me who will book a cruise 5 years in advance. If I see something I want to do, I'm going to book it. But I recognize that a lot of you may not do that. And so it's this one feels like it's going to come up close. So it might be too quick for us to pull off such a big trip. We may have to switch this to be like a September style trip where we can get 7 nights, give you more time to plan, and maybe in the winter we do a weekend cruise. So let me know all of your thoughts on that, and feel free to type those out in the comments. Also, if you've not done so at this point, make sure you're giving this a thumbs up. That always means a lot to us. I'm not sure how much it actually does in the algorithm these days, but it's always great if you guys can press the thumbs up button and just say, hey, I'm enjoying the chat. Changing from there, Douglas, traffic in Miami. Do you see any relief? No. The issue, and I'll walk you through what the issue is here. It's a couple of things. First of all, they are now bringing in cruise ships that have 10,000 people on them because some of the crew also get off and have to come back to the ship. So you've got 10,000 potential people coming in. You've got those ships trying to get people off of them in a very efficient manner. And it's going to take a while, right, to get 7,000 people off. You've then got people trying to get on that same cruise ship. And they're showing up at 9:30, 10, 10:30, well before any assigned time. And so now you've got this dual effect of everybody trying to come or go from the cruise terminals at the same exact time. And so if you are looking at arriving in Miami between 10:30 and I'll say noon, you are going to run into traffic. And it's mainly due to they didn't build the infrastructure of the terminals big enough to handle these large ships. So the inside of the terminal, not a problem. It is fine. It handles everybody perfectly. But when you get to, let's say, Royal Caribbean's Terminal A, you've got 3 lanes that are going through there. Can you imagine if the airport only had 3 lanes that people could go through? It easily backs up. It bottlenecks. Yes, they've got people standing there yelling at you these days, getting to move on, but it is not efficient. They did not build the infrastructure of the terminals good enough. They did a lot of work to move people around, But they forgot the biggest bottleneck comes from the drop off and pickup zone. And so if you're trying to go get on this cruise earlier than you need to, it's going to cause an issue. Ways to avoid this: go late. If you are like me and you are one of the last people on the ship, I have never seen any cars waiting. Like, I show up and even the Uber driver's like, are you sure you're getting on a ship? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I got this. And I go, strolling up like, not caring the world. But I never run into anybody. Even I'd say if you come after 1 o'clock, so many people are violating the request from the cruise lines to come at a certain window to prevent this from happening. And I think that the only option at this point, well, you got two options. One that will never happen. The first option is cruise lines need to start enforcing the boarding times. Nobody's going to enjoy that. And even for a weekend, nobody wants to know that they are forced on at the 3 o'clock time. But in order to relieve the congestion and have it make sense, they have to start turning people away at the port and say, no, your boarding time isn't yet. Or they need to find them to have them board the ship early. That's the only thing that's really going to alleviate this. The second is some kind of a mass transit option. This is Florida. We are not known for mass transit. Miami itself has a few options. It's probably the most mass transit centered place in Florida, but there is not a good solution that anybody here is going to vote to pay for. I would love it if they extended the Metro Mover system, which is our unmanned system from 1978, 82. She's old. It's the same one. They've not really done any work to it. They're trying to do it now, but it's taking a long time. Is to extend that over to the cruise port. And it's also small enough that it could stop at the individual terminals and drop people off. The problem with larger solutions, a lot of people have recently been talking about Miami having a transit solution from the Miami airport to directly to the port via the Metro Rail. This is a subway. The problem with the subway, it's above ground subway. It's not going to come in close to the terminals. And so they're still going to have to find a way at that point to get people from the Miami Port Miami terminal or station that they would build to the actual ships. And so I don't know logistically how that would work, because if you come, very similar to the trolley that operates today, the Miami trolley, which is sad, only services 50% of the terminal. You can only use it if you're coming in within one or two ships of it. Otherwise, if you're carrying luggage and walking in the heat, it makes no sense for you to use it, and it still doesn't even connect you anywhere that you're going to want to go. So I think the only solution here to finish my rant on this, Douglas, is the cruise lines have to start enforcing their boarding times. I think that's the only option. There is no mass transit coming to save the traffic, and they did not build the terminals correctly, which I don't know that they have the land at this point to add additional lanes either. So rant done. I'll move on unless you guys have comments and want to talk through that a little bit more. If you have not voted on the group cruises, please make sure you are doing that. I see a few people have voted, but love to get some more feedback on this. All right. Oh, I think I just covered this question for you, Michael. What would I recommend from transit from the Brightline station in Miami to Miami Cruise Port rideshare? I would recommend calling an Uber or getting a Lyft. It should run you, depending on the time. If you're here during those peak hours, it could be more, but it should run you about $10 for an Uber X. If you get an XL, it's going to be probably closer to 17 or 20, but it's still a really reasonable amount that you can take it for. But there's no other good option unless you want to walk to the trolley and then potentially wait 45 minutes for it to show up. Just pay the $10 and thank me later. All right, so I'm going to close the poll out. I think most of you have voted. Maybe we'll do it again coming up. All right, so let's see how the poll turned out. Looks like number one is the popular one, which I kind of figured it would be. It's the local one. And then a few of you voted for the third one, but nobody for World Asia. That is surprising. I figured the new smell of World Asia might impress some people, but it did not. So good feedback for me. Let me go back to the drawing board and see what's possible here. Continent of Africa, I think that is the biggest draw to going to the Euribia. That would be my draw to it. That's why I picked that one because I love a good itinerary. If I'm doing a 7 night cruise, I don't these days at least. I prefer not to do a 3 sea days and then Honduras, Cozumel, and Belize, and then we're back. Like I want to go somewhere that's actually kind of exciting. So that's why I chose those. So I was right on that. World Asia comes out in December. So if this is in January, this is only a few cruises. So it will be very close to her inaugural sailing, and she will still have that new ship smell on her. Should we wind up doing that one? But it didn't look like anybody really wanted to do that one, Adam. But more to come. Greg, absolutely. Just get an Uber or a Lyft. Even when I do the reverse and I'm going up to Orlando, Michael, and I need to get over to the cruise terminal, I will often still just call an Uber. If I show up at a decent time, I can't, I have walked up once and gotten a shuttle for like $21, which is a decent saving, maybe 26. Coming back, they have shuttles running consistently out of Port Canaveral to the Brightline station. And so I can just jump on one of those without a problem. And that is significant savings because those can run 75 to 120 depending on what it is surging. If you do have to ever do that out of Canaveral, make sure you are absolutely the first person off of that ship to avoid getting some significant surge fares. Gene, love St. Thomas and Dominica. I don't know that I've been to Dominica yet. I think that that is one that is still on my bucket list. But glad to see that you are vouching for that one. The Constellation very well could win this round. Always a pleasure, Michael. Glad to jump in there. Lisa, totally get it. It often pains me, especially when I go to Canaveral, for instance. And everybody's like, "Oh, where do you live?" And I have to explain to them that I live in downtown Miami, and they're like, "Wait, what? Why are you on a cruise in Canaveral?" Because we have excellent cruise ships right here in Miami, and yet oftentimes I find myself going somewhere else for a change or do something different. I'm like, okay, so talking about Brightline, there's $100 for Brightline. There's extra shuttle prices. It cost me probably an extra $200 to go out of Canaveral versus here is literally a $10 ride, and I'm on my ship. I'm starting to factor that in more. Used to, I would see that the Canaveral trip is cheaper, which these days it's absolutely not. Utopia is the most expensive weekend cruise outside of Disney, at least. Disney has the marketing being the most expensive weekend by far. Utopia is trying to catch up, so I will not be doing it anytime soon. But to go somewhere else when you live so close, Lisa, I totally get it. Do I think Brightline will survive? I would love to see a MCO to Port Canaveral solution. I mean, I think we are all rooting, Douglas, for Brightline. It is in the news these days. Its financial situation is, I don't want to say dire. The article that I saw today is they are looking at, some kind of a bankruptcy savior, somebody to come in to buy their debt. So the story here of Brightline is it started a year or two before COVID when it was just starting to get some traction on the tracks. I'll use a little bit of a pun. Um, it COVID hit and they shut down operation and laid off majority of their staff. I had a few friends who worked over there that were let go with that. They did keep it going, and so they took out very similar to cruise lines, took out tremendous debt in order to stay afloat and to be able to come back post COVID. Unlike cruise lines, who I think post COVID, we all couldn't wait to get back onto those ships, and we were lining up at the door. I was flying over to Nassau to get back on the ship. That did not happen for Brightline. Brightline had to kind of start over on marketing, on getting people involved, getting people to go on their service, and it has done really well since then. And I think that their problem is that debt. They just have so much debt servicing right now that I'm not sure how that's going to go. They did default on one payment already, I believe. Don't hold me accountable to that. But I believe there was one payment that came up that they have automatically defaulted on. And so their creditors are absolutely starting to swarm. I don't know how that's going to end for them. I really don't. I do wish them all the best. I would love nothing more than what you said for, having that Saint, I think it was, where was it? It was Saint Martin. There was a place where they were talking about building the Brightline station. And granted, that faced tremendous challenges as well. That has not been a done deal or been easy. I don't know that it will ever happen where they at least have shuttles getting you to the cruise terminals from close to Orlando. But I don't know where it's going to go. Good news, though, Douglas. And for those of you that really follow transit here in Miami, I am a huge transit geek. For those of you who don't know, I was a bus driver for, let me see if I can show you a picture. I was a bus driver for 3 years in high school and college because I loved buses. And so I, as a kindergartner, said I wanted to drive a bus. Let me see if I can find it. But I've always been fascinated with them. Oh, it's not going to come up. Maybe if I try a school bus. I took a picture of me back in the day. Here we go. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to show this to you all. So let me do this. This will be fun. Let me share my screen. And this will explain to you why I am the nerd that I am. So this is thanks to AI. It really lightened it up and made my teeth super bright. So it is a picture from 2005, probably 2006. When I was a school bus driver for my high school, I turned 18 years old and I started driving for the school that I went to, my high school. There was somebody on the bus who was actually older than me, which I always felt was hilarious. But I loved it so much so that even when I went to college, I continued to drive for the next county that I went to as a substitute driver. And they were more than accommodating to work with my schedule while I was there. So had a blast with driving. So that's where my passion for driving school buses really comes from, or transit in general. So went on a tangent there. The reason I mentioned that is Tri-Rail is our other South Florida transit option that runs all three of the from West Palm, Broward, as well as down to Miami-Dade County. And it was facing some dire, it had its funding cut significantly by the legislator last year. And they just got word, I think last week, that that was going to be changing. They were going to be giving them additional funds. Otherwise, they were slated to close down. The earliest projection I saw was July is when they were going to cease operations. And that one is really heavily relied on by local working folks, by commuters. And so it would have been a huge shame for it to have gone away. And so I'm glad it's going to be able to stick around for a little while longer. The biggest difference between it and Brightline is Tri-Rail is our commuter train. So if you think about needing to go somewhere every single day, it's an affordable experience and it looks like a commuter train. So for those of you that are familiar with Boston's T, maybe the Long Island Railroad or New Jersey Transit, it looks more similar to those kind. When you talk about Brightline, Brightline was initially, though I know commuters take it, built for tourists. It was built to be a nice high-end experience. It's got a first or business class in it. It's got really big seats that are super comfortable. And so it's a very different experience, but they charge you for that. And so for me to go up to Orlando these days, it's probably around $60 for a one-way ticket. They've come down a little bit in their pricing, but yeah, totally different experience. So I hope they stay because I think they complement each other well. And hopefully we eventually get another Tri-Rail line as well at some point. But again, we're in Florida. I am not holding my breath on any of this stuff. Karen, did my picture not go through? I thought I shared my screen. Maybe I did that incorrectly. Can you all let me know if you saw the picture or not? I can throw it back up and maybe I pressed the wrong button. But that should be it, Karen. Let me know if you can see that or not in the comments. Hopefully it is up there. Cute little Brandon, 18-year-old Brandon. Oh, look at all that dark hair. No picture. Huh. All right. We can go to plan B here. Hold on. This is why with technology, you just need to know how to do it 5 different ways. So, all right. Did that do it? That did it. I just didn't have it set up correctly. All right. So now let me know that you can see this one. I believe that I finally hit the correct button to make it work. There I am. All right. Sorry I went on about that and didn't even show you all the picture. But there's darling 18-year-old Brandon. If only he knew what he knows now. All right. Enough of me reminiscing. Margot, Oceania has really opened you up to premium cruising. As you saw with the Tampa, when you figure cost with RCL increase in prices, the all-inclusiveness of Oceania and Caribbean cruises is almost the same. This is one point of contention I have, not necessarily with Oceania, but the cruise line industry in general, is the ability to compare apples to apples. They do not make it easy whatsoever to compare. Okay, this cruise line's giving me all this, and then this one's unbundled, but this one gives me only a little bit of this. It's a really complex strategy that people have to go through to consider the true value of this cruise line versus another cruise line. I have Virgin coming up next month, and it is premium, and it is certainly pricing at premium. I'm kind of shocked at how much it is pricing. So luckily, I think I told you all this last week. We got upgraded for $185 to the balcony from an interior room. So now this $2,000 cruise for two of us for 4 nights is going to have to bring it. They're going to have to be premium. And so they do include more things there, but it's not as much as you would think. On Oceania, at least you have the ability to get free drinks with your sailing if that's your world value that you pick. On Virgin, they don't do that. They may give you some bar tab toward your loyalty for $100, but that's going to be it. I think it is, definitely something we're seeing shift in the industry is people wanting that more inclusive experience, that more luxury experience. I think, I'm a fan of nickel and diming. I've come to learn that about myself. I like the fact that you charge me a really low amount, MSC, I'm looking at you, and then you nickel and dime me for the entire cruise. Because most of the time, I don't need all that stuff. I am pretty low key. And so I don't need to have all those things that's coming in from, the all inclusive. So it's a little bit wasted on me. I've looked at land trips, same thing. Because I don't drink, I lose so much value in really an all inclusive fare. So that's why I really value Oceania saying, okay, you can do your world's amenities and say, I want free drinks during their happy hours. Or I can say, hey, give me Shorex credit. And that actually worked out really good for me because I feel like I'm still getting something for that. But we're definitely seeing, I think the cruise industry change, pricing is reflecting that. The luxury market is growing by leaps and bounds. I have tried to find another Oceania sailing for $3,000 for two people for 7 nights. I can't do it. I can't do it. They are starting probably at 4 to 5 for a 7 night. I'm not able to do that just yet. So if the media team from Oceania is watching, I have several of your cruises that I would love to go on. I will make time, but I'm gonna need a little assistance to make that happen. Glad the picture came through. Oh, Margot, cutie patootie. Mr. Wagner, you made it. I was wondering about that. Welcome to the chat. Hey, Douglas, I actually did have a CDL. I say CDL, it was a Class B school bus only CDL with passenger and air brake endorsements. I still remember going to my school bus driving class. Yes, you have to take a class to do that. It was 2 days, and I walked in already knowing everything. Like I was like, give me the test, like I can do this. And I was like the teacher's pet because I was just so excited to be there. I had often sat behind. my bus drivers. I would watch everything they did. I knew what was going on, what to do. So once I got my license, I literally turned 18. So I started actually driving. The training course had me driving as a 17-year-old. I was like 17 and a half. So that when I turned 18 on that day, I started my school bus route. They had a need in the school. And so I was able to make that happen. So still love it. And I joke one of these days I'm going to retire from my full time job and I'm going to be a bus driver, whether it's for a city, a school, who knows? Maybe you'll see me driving around Disney World driving buses. But that's kind of my retirement plan one of these days if I make it there. Michelle, glad to be back on lives. I have missed you and everyone else here. So it's good to get the routine going again. I'm always glad and excited, and honored that you all want to come and hang out with me. I started this back up last week and I was like, I don't know that anybody's going to show up. But luckily, we had really good attendance. I see there's a good number of people that are here today as well. So I'm super excited about that. All right, let me drink some water. My voice is going earlier, so I don't know if you all talk for extended periods of time, but two things happen. It's kind of weird. My throat gets dry and scratchy the more I talk. I feel like I'm probably forcing my voice and not talking naturally. The second thing that happens, and I don't know if you've seen me do this now, I'm probably oversharing, is my nose starts to itch. I don't know why, but when I'm live streaming or even when I've been recording at home, my nose itches. I don't know if it's a nervous thing or what's going on, but that's why you see me like doing this is because my nose has started to itch. I don't know if it's a nervous tick or what it is, coming to chat with you all, but my nose is not being fun right now. And my voice is already starting to go. All right. Any other comments or things you all want to talk about tonight? I am open for your questions. That's the fun part to me. Glad to take the conversation in whatever direction you all want to take it in. All right, so I'll jump on in with some thoughts then as we wait for um, people to join. And I just actually made a note to myself to make a video on this today because cruise vloggers continue to get banned from cruise lines, and I'm probably going to have a not so kind opinion. Um, they're doing it to themselves, I think. I think that they are absolutely bringing it on themselves. If they are going on a cruise ship, what I find cruise bloggers doing, and this isn't, targeted at any one particular person, is there's an over exaggeration of what happened. And so it is one thing to go on and say, look, I had a bad experience. Here are the reasons why. It's another when you go on and you are really defaming the company and making something so small such a big issue, mainly to drive views. The biggest issue with any kind of social media is that you all, don't take it personally, want to see the worst cruise ever. You want to see almost ruined cruise. You want to see where things went wrong. That is the fun stuff. You like watching the train crashes on social media. And so us vloggers know that. And so we want to make content that's going to get your attention, that's going to get you to click on it. And then we're going to have to deliver on how horrible this cruise was because I saw a glass sitting in the hallway, dirtiest cruise ever. And I feel like it's over exaggerated. And so that's why I personally think that vloggers are getting banned these days is it's not about sharing the experience. It's about driving views and revenues by being clickbaity and making a mountain hill out of nothing. And these are companies. You are privileged to be able to go on there and they can absolutely ban you. And if you're going to go there and in many cases probably defame their name or their reputation, yeah, I can see why they might not bring you back. And so when you make a video like that, and I might have one actually coming out sooner rather than later, you got to know that there's risk that you're taking. NCL, for instance, I just went on my first NCL getaway cruise, weekend cruise, 2 weekends ago. 2 weekends, yeah, 2 weekends ago, and absolutely did not enjoy that experience. And I need to make a video on why I didn't like it. And quite frankly, I don't know if it's gonna get me banned. I'm not gonna make it exaggerated. I'm just gonna give you the facts and say, here's what you need to know about NCL if you're going over there. Even coming from somebody that's been on almost 180 cruises now, I've been on almost 50 different ships. NCL was a whole different animal for me. And I did not enjoy the experience there as much as I wanted to. And maybe it's a learning curve. And so I'm going to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but I'm probably going to come fairly hard on why I didn't enjoy that experience because I left kind of vowing there's no reason for me to ever go back to NCL. I just did not have an good experience on that specific ship. So cruise loggers getting banned? Sure. I think when we make really negative content like that, and we know that a large audience is going to see it, I'm always shocked at how many people, how much reach YouTube has. It's a lot, and so I don't blame cruise lines one bit for saying, "Hey, you're really exaggerating this. Like, we get that it wasn't great, but you totally blew it out of proportion. That wasn't called for." There's consequences to that. I feel like. Margot, I'd love to go visit you. I don't know when I'm going to Alaska. It's not going to be this year, though, unfortunately. I have looked at a few of the cruises up there, but it'd have to be pretty early in the season because I do have that sabbatical later this year. And so I'm just not going to be able to take any time. The summer is also peak season for my full time job. So that's when my full time job really ramps up. And so I'm not able to get in a 7 night cruise in the summer. Again, it's Alaska season. So if I did Alaska, it's going to be early season next year, late season next year if I make it. I'd love to go, but I think we talked about this too at the cafe. The Norwegian fjords might be winning out. I might choose to go there again. But funny enough, I'm actually getting alerts on my phone. Me, my mom, and my dad were all on the Explorer of the Seas this time back in 2019. So I'm getting that here you were, what is it, 8 years ago, we were on the Explorer up in Alaska. So that was this exact week, which I think was kind of supposed to be the ideal week to be there. Gene, I've looked at doing the yacht club numerous times for an interior. So to go from my interior, which I can book on MSC consistently for $500, let's say, that's probably being generous. I normally can get it for 400, if not cheaper, to do a weekend on MSC. If I want to be in Yacht Club, they do send me the offers or the opportunity to upgrade to their interior Yacht Club, or I could upgrade to the other rooms as well. It is still an additional 1,000 plus to upgrade to the Yacht Club. I'm just not there yet. Like, I'd rather go on 5 more cruises versus have that one kind of experience. This is, again, would love to do it. So if MSC or anybody has contacts with their media team, I would love to go just for a weekend to be able to say that I've done it, to check the box and come back raving about how great of an experience it is. Because that is all that I've heard people do about it. I'd be glad to go and do it, but it's just not something that's within my budget at this time. Have I ever been on any land trips? I absolutely have. And I don't talk about it often on here because this is a cruise ship channel. Cruise ships are my first love, but I am also a world traveler. So cruising started it, but I've done a tremendous amount of land journeys. I have been to, at this point, over 70 different countries. And all of those you can't get to by boat. And so a lot of them have been where I have flown in somewhere and enjoyed. So I've been to Africa 3 times now, I think. I have been to Asia multiple times, Central Asia. I've done Europe. I've done majority of South America and a good portion of Central America at this time. So still working on it. Still a lot of more places to go. When I go on my sabbatical in October, I'll pick up an additional, it's going to go to 9 countries, but I think I've already been to 3 of them. So I'm still going to be picking up Morocco. I've not been to Senegal, Benin, Togo. Those are my African new countries. But then the transatlantic's going to be stopping in Portugal that I have not been to, and to go to the Canary Islands, which I think count just towards Spain. But it's such a unique area. I'm kind of counting it. So I'm going to get some new countries in there, which is one reason why when we talked about the group cruises earlier, that I was talking about, hey, let's go to Malta, let's go to Tunis, some super cool places that cruise ships can go because I love checking out new places in the world. Larry, it really was. I mean, the group cruises, y'all, and I'm going to be a little biased here. We get some pretty awesome people. We are always a fun group. We are an accepting group. Whether you come solo, you come with somebody else, we have such a good time. And I think part of that is it's a laid back group cruise. There's some group cruises out there that have matching t-shirts, who do games, who do all these things together. We literally have dinner, we go to shows, we sit around and talk, and you go and come as you want to. It is still, your cruise at the end of the day. You get to do what's going to make you happy. We're going to choose those things. People will group up, and part of the group will go this way, part of the group will go that way, and we all have a really good time. But we always meet up for happy hour before dinner, go to dinner, and then go to a show at the end of it. And so we've had some really, really great times on cruise ships. So, Larry, I don't know if you saw earlier, I did post up three different options on where we're looking to go. They're kind of um, they're outside of Florida, which I know is different for a lot of people, but more to come on that. Do everybody make sure you're signed up for the Group Cruise newsletter. If you haven't done that, it should be in the description. You can click on that link and put your information in because I'll email out once it's decided where we're going to be going and some details about it. Yeah, September is when I probably would want to go, Margo, if I went up to Alaska, mainly because I get to put it with Labor Day weekend. And so I only have to use 4 vacation days for a 7 night cruise. And you do that enough times, you now have another 7 night cruise that you can go on. So I am a huge fan of going on vacation weekends. It may cost me more money initially to go on those. Alaska is probably the exception to this rule. But it means I may get another full week of vacation, and I am absolutely all about that. I think that is very true, Karen. It is all in the way that things are presented. Um, and you shouldn't have to worry about getting banned if you're presenting them in a fair manner, even in one that is, a little, maybe just a little exaggerated, but not over the top. Because I'm sure most people watch the video and go, really, there's one cup in the hall, and this is your worst, dirtiest cruise ever. You found one cup. Um, I think that there is a way to do it. And so I'm going to try tackling that with NCL, as I mentioned. So you all let me know if I'm able to do that or not. But I have a laundry list of reasons as to why I will not be going back on NCL. So we'll have to see if I can live up to that, or if you all are going to find that I'm exaggerating. I'm going to try not to. But we'll see. We'll see. I won't. But the title probably will be a little shocking because I'm already picturing like 20 reasons why I'll never do NCL again. That's kind of what I see the title is going to be. And then I'm going to give you 20 reasons. I've already wrote them. All right. Captain's Table, MDR. I do love a captain's table. I am so sad that they don't do those anymore. That is a sacrifice post COVID. Used to, you'd have the captain, the hotel director. There was always somebody hosting a table on these, and with status, or if you cruise a lot, they would take you to the captain's table in the center of the main dining room. That is not a thing that really happens anymore, at least on the cruise lines that I'm sailing on. And I do miss it. It was always such a nice experience when you got to do that. But your question, with hurricane season starting, do you adjust your travels with more or less cruising as it's so unpredictable? I personally don't. It is a question that I get from a lot of people is number one, I don't really buy travel insurance. I buy medical travel insurance. So travel insurance itself, if you're getting one of the big ticket items, will have all sorts of bells and whistles. It'll have trip cancellation, hurricane, trip delay, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't need that. I'm more worried about catastrophic medical events, being evacuated, having my body repatriated, things like that, that we can get covered. And so that I have through um, Geo Blue, that they just recently changed their names. It's through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it is just their medical policy. for a really reasonable rate. I think I pay $175 for it, and luckily have, knock on wood, never had to use it in 2 or 3 years. Um, so with that being said, I don't buy that. I'm of the mindset that I'm in Miami. If I'm going on a cruise, it's either here or Fort Lauderdale for the most part. And if the cruise ship is there, I'm going to be able to make it there. I'm not concerned that I'm not going to make it to the cruise. If I was flying, I think that's where a lot of people with hurricane season get into trouble is with flight cancellations. That can be for days before, days after, or even if you're planning on coming in before, if your flight's canceled, you just might not be able to get rebooked for a longer period of time. So the stress and anxiety of hurricane season for those that don't live in Florida for going on cruises is much greater than those of us that do. Because the cruise ship will only come into port when it is safe to debark the people there and to board people. It will not come into port if it is not safe to do so. One example of this is I had, I think it was Wonder of the Seas back in the day when it was up in Canaveral doing weekends. There's a storm that came through and they extended the current cruise. They made it 3 days longer, and then they shortened my cruise by 3 days. But they gave us all sorts of onboard credit and amenities to make sure we still came on that cruise. And so I went for the shorter cruise because I got all this free stuff for it. But it's not an issue for me as hurricane season per se. I don't necessarily give it a single bit of thought. The other thing that kind of helps me out here is my full-time job does really ramp up in the summer. And so in years past, not as much this time, I've just not been able to cruise during the summer. I haven't been able to really break away. And between prices being extremely high, there being way too many kids in the summer, it honestly hasn't really appealed to me. So I kind of take this June through August hiatus, though I'm going to have a few cruises in between those, which I'm going to be super excited for. And luckily, prices I'm finding for summertime sailings right now are reasonably priced. They are not as bad as they've been in years gone by. So I'm very excited about that. Have I been to Easter Island? I have not been to Easter Island. One of these days, it is on the list, but I have not done Easter Island at this time. They are. And so, Karen, when I go on land trips, and it may be different when I go to Africa. So I'm gonna have my equipment with me already since I'm doing the transatlantic crossing back. Um, and I should do it because then I could probably do it as a write-off. Instead, now I'm just taking it all as a personal hit. But they are more of a vacation. They are normally in more remote areas of the world, I will say. I've done 2 weeks in India. I've done Nepal. I've done Bangladesh. I've done Suriname. I've done Bolivia, Ghana. I've done Kenya. I've done all these places that are off the beaten path. And so one reason I don't take the camera equipment with me is number one, I don't want it to be stolen. And that is something I definitely think about. And I don't want to weigh my bag down with camera equipment because it's heavy. I should at least film when I get back. Oftentimes I'll take the B-roll and I could make the A-roll or the talking head this kind of view when I get back. And I've just never done it. I've even scripted a few videos and I've not done it. So I'll think about it for this next round and see and give you all some insight into it. I don't know that it's going to resonate with most cruisers because it's Africa. I mean, it's not really it's the farthest thing from cruising, but we can always try it out. We can see. If nothing else, there's always the ability for me to start a second channel. I'm not sure that I want to manage two different channels, but there's a lot of people that do that. And then I can stay cruise ship focused, which I think will always be my bread and butter because I have the chance to do, weekend cruises monthly. Going on a 3 week, extended trip through India and Nepal, that happens once a year. So I don't know that I'll have enough content to make a solid channel out of that, but it is food for thought. But glad to know you all would be interested in watching that. Enjoy your meeting tomorrow, Gene. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Always a pleasure. I appreciate that, Brian. We will make it as comfortable as we can, or we'll make the video as comfortable. So we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck on that one. I need to script some videos. That's probably what I'll do this weekend. Hey, on the go with YOLO! Happy Tuesday indeed. Welcome to the live stream. So one thing, and I was just talking about this, and give you guys some insight into how I make content. It's often done in batches. So I will sit down and do everything at one time. And so I need to start the next. I say that the only thing that I don't do like that is idea generation. I am constantly being like, oh, I should talk about this. I should talk about that. I have never wanted for an idea. I always have plenty of ideas on what to talk about. And so I'm constantly writing those down and kind of logging what I should be doing or talking about. From there, I'll sit down and go through and script out the videos. And so I keep it's technically a project management tool called Asana, similar to Slack or Monday, ClickUp, those kind of things, if you're familiar with those programs. But I script it all in there and it allows me to kind of see where I am in the process. And so I'll go through, I'll create my script, if you will. And by script, it's an outline. I am not one of those people that can read. If I was reading to you all, I would be boring as all get out. Like, and you would see my eyes doing, and probably my head would turn with it too, to read what I was doing. I'm just not good at that. I did not go to broadcasting school to learn how to read from a teleprompter. And I also think it's just a lot of work to have to type out every single thing that you want to say. I'd much rather just be like, Brandon, talk about these three things for this section than that section. And I can turn that into an 8 or a 10-minute video with absolutely no problem. So I'll go through and script all of that out. Then when I get on the ship, that's where I like to film the most because for whatever reason, I have it in my head that when I'm making content, you all want to see me sitting on a ship. I feel like that gives me validity. It gives me trust. It gives me a reason to go, oh, he's on the cruise ship. Like clearly he knows what he's talking about. That's what I want to give versus you all seeing my Peloton and my shoes behind me. I could do my crystal blocks and the ship models, but I just don't think that that's as pretty of a view. It's just even sitting in an interior cabin on a cruise ship. I get a lot of really good videos or views done there, and it gives me dedicated time. I'll knock that out in the mornings. I'll then come home and that's where I have to edit. And that's where I really appreciate having two different monitors here. You can only see one of them, but I really love seeing two different screens when I'm going through and editing. And I'm getting better at editing or being quicker with it, is what I mean by that. My skill set is not, I'm doing the basics. Hopefully it's not too amateurish for you all, but it is me talking. I'll lay over B-roll. We call it a day. I did use and from there, I go through, edit everything. I'll do 3 or 4 of them in a day, get them up. I then upload them to YouTube, and then you've got to go through and do all what they call the metadata. So I got to come up with the thumbnail, the text on the thumbnail, the title, the video description. There's tags. There's a timeline for some of them. All that stuff I have to then process for them, and I'll do that all at one time as well. So there's a flow to it. That what allows me to work a little bit more efficiently. This is my part-time job. I wish that I had more time because I absolutely could turn this into a full-time job without a problem. It could take 40 hours plus a week with absolutely no effort. I just don't have that. So we're not doing that. And so I got to be efficient and effective. So when I start doing something, we're batching it, we're moving through, and I get in the groove and we just knock it out. How often do I do ship excursions? That is a great question. I will answer that with it's rare that I even get off the ship these days because I have been to the Bahamas, Nassau specifically, probably 115 times at this point. I don't need to get off and see what there is to do there. I've kind of done it all. And I think I've only ever done 2, 3 excursions in Nassau over the years. But I know it well enough now that I can give you a proper walking tour and a food tour of Nassau. Like I know enough about it that I can be a certain level of authority on where you should be going, where you should be eating. When it comes to the private islands, I've got a video coming up on why I'm not going to be going over to Royal Caribbean's private beach club in Nassau because I just love staying on the ship. When everybody gets off the ship is perfect timing for me to hang out, relax, read a book, maybe even get into the pool every now and again. And so staying on the ship is really what I do these days. The one place that I get off traditionally is if I'm on Virgin Voyages, they have their Bimini Beach Club included. I will go over there just because I've not been there. I've probably been there 6 times now. And the second place is Anytime the weekend cruise goes to Key West, I do love getting off in Key West. I did not do it this last trip on Celebrity Reflection, but that is a port that I traditionally will always walk off the ship just to walk around, maybe get a Matheson's cookie, or go find a resort somewhere like that that I can hang out at, and have some food, do some brunch. They got some really good food in Key West, so I do enjoy going to Key West. T. Jonesy, one of these days, if you keep doing weekends, my friend, you will definitely run into me on a cruise ship. Utopia, I don't go on that much these days. I was just talking about how expensive she's gotten. And she's, all the way up in Canaveral when I've got cruise ships that I can walk to in 30 minutes here. But Utopia is a beautiful ship. They did a really good job when they brought her out. So I hope you have a wonderful time. Meryl, that is always the best ship, especially the ship that you all are on. I was just on with Meryl and Dave on Reflection a couple of weeks ago, and I did get to finally do the specialty package on Celebrity, specialty dining package, that is. I have never gone to a specialty restaurant on Celebrity up until 2 weeks ago, which is crazy to think about because normally I'll give them a try, but I've never done it. And so I had friends going on, Meryl and Dave, Gail and Stan. I mean, so we all got the unlimited dining package and went to all the restaurants. They were superb. They were some of the best specialty restaurants that I've been to. It was not cheap. So the ultimate dining package, for those of you that know, it allows you to have one lunch and then you get three dinners while you're on a weekend cruise. And so for me, it cost $200 for essentially four different specialty restaurants that I got, one of those being a lunch. So they've changed the pricing model. It now includes an additional gratuity. So when you're seeing the price, make sure you know that it's going to have taxes on it, it's going to have gratuities on it in addition to it. And so it drove the price up to almost $200. But the food was well worth it. I had a great time. And I would absolutely do it again if somebody's wanted to go on a cruise with me. We can hit the specialty restaurants because there was so many more things that I wanted to check out and to try. On the go YOLO, very time consuming. I'm trying to remember what comment that was on. I don't know what you're referencing there. That was very time consuming. Probably getting up to either Port Canaveral or doing something like that. T. Jonesy, editing. It is the bane of my existence. I just, and it's all the back end work. It's kind of like when you do renovations at your house and you go through and you do the electrical. You never actually get to see it. Um, doing all this editing, you still get to see it, but it's so much work that goes into it. I mean, I don't think anybody when they set out to do YouTube or even do quick TikToks or shorts knows how much effort it takes to do a very simple video. Like my videos are not complicated. They're not complex. It is literally A roll, which is what you're seeing now. This is called A roll, the main video footage of me talking. And then when I talk about something, I put B roll on top of it or the video that I took of that item. That is it. There's no bells and whistles. There's no music. There's no intro anymore. And it takes forever still. So I'm glad you feel my pain there. David, you did do the Brandon walking tour in Nassau. So that is a video that I made very early on was a self-guided walking tour of Nassau. And I gave you turn by turn directions on where you needed to go in Nassau. It is probably over 3 years old at this point. But when we had the group cruise that went to Nassau, we did the full walking tour. And so I gave them the walking tour of, hey, here's everything. Here's the Queen's Staircase. Here's Fort Pierce or Finn Castle, that is. Walked over to some restaurants, saw the Parliament or the Government House, and so it was just a really, really good time. John Watlings was on there, all those great places. So I've not been back in ages, but I need to just redo that video if nothing else. Walk around and show you all how you can go to Nassau. You don't need an excursion per se because everything's very walkable. You might just need a little bit of history here and there. Ah, you're so kind. On the go with YOLO. I was definitely on Freedom from time to time, so I'm sure it was great meeting you as well. Thank you for keeping up with me all these years. I'm always shocked that, people have been with this channel for years at this point, and it always just astounds me that you all have hung with me through all this. So thank you. I appreciate that. If I do Key West as well, yeah. So I'll do a land trip to Key West if there's a weekend or something like that that I want to get away and I don't have a cruise booked. The bus, so I don't have a car. You all know I keep my budget pretty in check. The bus actually picks up directly across the street at Bayside to take you to Key West, or I can go over to the airport and jump on a bus for $20. It's 3.5, 4 hour journey. And then I can stay in Key West. But I've never done a group or anything. That's normally my off the grid, chill kind of weekend. Should I do that? Most of the time, I'm going there on cruise ships, though. Mainly Celebrity Reflection or the Celebrity Weekend or 4 night sailings is where you find that. Royal used to go there more. It doesn't go as much as I would like for it. But part of that is we don't see a lot of the 4 night Thursday to Monday cruises anymore. I used to see those all the time, or there'd be one that would do it like every other, like the Celebrity Summit that we talked about earlier. I mean, do every other week, it would do a 4 night. And those are my favorite cruise because that one extra night from a 3 night to a 4 night makes all the difference on being able to enjoy that cruise just a little bit more. I love a 3 night, but a 4 night, oh, it's just so much nicer. So much nicer. D Jonesy, this is the one that we actually did not do was Le Petit Chef. So we were only there for 3 nights. So we did Tuscan, we did Murano, and we did the Lawn Club. Were the two that we did, or the three that we did, and we did the seafood place, which I always forget the name of it because honestly, I don't like it that good. But we didn't get a chance to do Le Petit Chef. It's supposed to be a super cool experience. I think it is a check the box exercise. If you have kids with you, it is probably not to be missed, but even adults are supposed to enjoy it. For those of you who don't know what Le Petit Chef is, it is a interactive dinner. And so the plate will be on the table, but it'll have projections that come down, and it's a whole animated kind of experience. I think Disney may do something similar to this as well, but it is on all of the celebrity ships. I've just never had a chance to do it just yet. I think it's also on land, if I'm not mistaken. They've got some land locations where they operate out of. Well, I don't know if there, I mean, there probably are awards that go into it. But I tell you, I am not seeking an award because I think that would take even more effort. I am literally, Brian, doing the bare minimum some days just to get you all content. Because one thing that I've learned over the years is that content is king. If you have good content, if you are able to put together a story, educate people, give them information that they didn't have and were seeking, it doesn't matter how fancy the video is. I think you all are really forgiving on it doesn't need to be a production. You just want really solid information and education. What to expect. Is this cruise line for me? Is it not for me? And I think that's what I do a really good job with. And that's hopefully why you all keep coming back because it is absolutely not for the YouTube production value. Am I using points choice? Where are your points going and why? Robert, great question. There's a whole video that I've got launching on this. I have to actually do some more editing and recording for it though. I filmed it and then I was talking to more people and I was like, oh, that's a whole different cheat code for how to use point choice. So I've got two different cheat codes on there. So I'm not going to spoil those in the live stream. You have to watch the video. But my points are going towards Royal Caribbean. I don't want to say exclusively sailing only Celebrity these days in the chain, but I'm going to try to only cruise Celebrity. I've got one more Brilliance coming up, but I am moving all of those points into Royal Caribbean. The main reason for that is I am currently sitting at, let's say how many points, 1,677 total points within the captains, or not the captains, the Crown and Anchor Society. At 1750, I get another Junior Suite cruise. I get a stratum that they're going to send me. There's a lot of cool things that come at 1750. And so I want to make 1750. And so that's why I'm putting that over there. After that, we'll see if I continue going Royal or if I say, hey, let me get some Captain's Club points. But Captain's Club, as I mentioned earlier on the call, just deleted all of my points. So I've got to figure out where they went to as they did not transfer over to Royal Caribbean and get those established back. But I don't even know that I'm elite. I was at 210 points. even that because I'm sailing weekends in interior rooms, I'm getting 6 points, and you need these crazy amounts to do any damage with celebrity. So it's just a tough go over there. The way the system is set up now, I am personally, with my cruising style being a little on the cheaper side, doing the inside ocean view rooms. I'm more incentivized to put those points with Royal Caribbean. Meryl, that is what I've heard. Le Petit Chef, if you've not done it, check the box. Go and do it. It is a great experience, but you'll feel like you only need to do it once. Meryl's done it 3 times here. That's a little much, Meryl. And so she'll be the first to tell you once just fine. Yeah, I would hope that the food is good. It is one of the more pricey ones, especially restaurants, that is, because all specialty restaurants, for whatever reason, have different price points. And so it is normally one of the more expensive ones on celebrity cruise lines because it is interactive. There's a lot more that goes into the production value of serving you dinner. And so they charge you for that experience. I will do it one of these days. I'm not going to be knocking down their door to make that happen. But maybe on a group cruise on Celebrity, we might can reserve us a big old table and have fun. Mad Lorraine, I was trying to put all those letters together. How are you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Hello from Tucson, the West Coast. I mean, that is a tough one. So if you're on this, you're a few hours behind. So you just got off work probably. So thank you for tuning in. Oh yeah, so Greg is confirming Elite's 300 points. I was at 210 before I started moving everything to Royal. So I was still a good bit away from even being their diamond equivalent or elite. I'm already getting the Zenith benefits because of my pinnacle status, so I'm just going to keep putting them on with Royal Caribbean for now. And the points are slowing down. I mean, I'm not doing Celebrity or Royal Caribbean as much as I used to. Number one, I'm not cruising just about every weekend. I am cruising just about every other weekend, once a month. That's about as far as I'll let myself go from that. But balancing having a life on land, balancing a life on cruises is tough. I want to be in both places. I am certainly torn. When I'm on cruise ships, there's things that I want to be doing on land. When I'm on land, I want to be on cruise ships. And so it is really tough. Let me know if anybody else in the comments kind of feels this way, if you cruise often. But I am often torn between, am I going on land, doing things here and building relationship here, or am I going to go see all my friends that are on cruise ships? I mean, at one point, I would have told you that I had, and I probably still do, I have more friends on cruises or cruise ships than I do on land because that's just the life that I have built. And so it's difficult, but the points because of that have slowed down a little bit. So Petite Chef, one and done once again. Maybe that if we do a celebrity ship for the group cruise, maybe this will have to have a specialty night. That could actually be a lot of fun. Oh, this is the solo cabin, Lorraine. I think I do remember your comment. At least I think it was the solo cabin. You just made that comment yesterday or the day before, maybe. You will definitely love Quantum. Quantum is a good ship. It feels a little confined a little bit because it's built for colder weather. But the direction that you're going to be going, I think it's going to be fine. 270 is awesome. Definitely check out my videos from Quantum. There's some best practices, some pro tips that I always talk about that honestly you just won't know unless somebody tells you. So make sure you're doing some research on that so you go prepared. David, Long Club is always a great time. If you want to go somewhere and have what's called the meat sweats, you can do that at the Long Club. Their food is fantastic. It tastes amazing. It's really good. My favorite parts of this is it is especially a restaurant that is outside. And so it is right there on the lawn by the TV out back on celebrity ships. And it is just such a good environment and experience. I really enjoy eating at lawn as well. Though I would say the food for me I might be more of a Murano fan from my first time going there. My Murano experience, by the way, Meryl was there for this, Dave, was not amazing from a service quality perspective. But luckily, the food that they sent us was good. The reason I say it wasn't a great service experience is they didn't get their scheduling right. Somehow or another, they had multiple groups of 10 or more people come at the same time, in addition to our table. And for whatever reason, those tables got priority. And so it was literally, and I've been to a lot of special restaurants, literally the longest specialty dining experience I've ever had. We were in the restaurant for, I kid you not, 3 full hours. And it was painful. Luckily, every time they brought food, it was good, but it was literally another 30 to 45 minutes before they would bring the next course out. It was not a great experience. Luckily, the food was good, and I will absolutely go back, but it was not a great experience just because I don't know if the maitre d's weren't thinking or something didn't work out well. But I've had my fair share of 2 hour, 2.5s, especially at Chops. Chops used to be the worst back in the day for keeping you forever, but I've never stayed in a special restaurant. I don't know that I've ever stayed in any restaurant for 3 hours that wasn't doing like a 15 course tasting kind of menu. Like that's just, it's a bit extreme. But I will go back. I will. Not like NCL. I wrote NCL off. Murano, no, give them a second chance. Their quality, their product was still good. Looking at a transatlantic in 2027, that is always a great way to try out a cruise ship. I mean, why not go on there for 14, 15 nights, Lorraine, and really get to know it with multiple sea days? I'm being sarcastic here, but do know if you've not done Celebrity yet, it's another reason why you want to make sure you're doing research and possibly, I think might have another opportunity to get on a cruise too. Check it out, see what you think. That being said, I'm doing something similar. I'm doing Princess Cruises for the first time for a transatlantic crossing. And so it'll be 15 nights for that one. So I get to know Princess real good on that trip. But Celebrity, I think, would be a really good one. And you can get it at a great price point. Transatlantics, Transpacifics, if nothing else, are really reasonably priced. And so that's the thing that I like and value most about them is price per night, dirt cheap. Like it costs you next to nothing. Joe, just did Utopia in May, and now you're thinking of MSC Seashore, which we liked last summer. I think balancing those is great. When you think of Utopia, I'll compare them this way. Utopia is going to be your party ship. It is going to be the pullest weekend ever. They've even marketed it, and I probably trademarked the pullest weekend ever on Utopia. People go there with the intent of partying, having a bachelor party, having a group of some kind of family reunion. Everybody there is there to live their best life. And they charge you a good amount to go in Utopia. MSC, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more tame. I don't see the same level of party on, or prolonged party on MSC. They will have times with their white night and things like that where the vibe is really high energy. But for the most part, it's a little bit more on the calm side. And the thing that I love most about the MSC ship is the price point. You cannot beat the price point for MSC, especially when you look at how much you're paying to get on Utopia. I think it's a solid choice, though the Seashore, if that's the one in Canaveral, it's doing Thursday to Sundays, which isn't a true weekend. It annoys me. Down here in Miami, we've got maybe Miami has Seashore and you have Seaside up there. I get them confused with the names being so similar. The Miami MSC weekend ship does true weekends. The Canaveral MSC weekend ship does Thursday to Sunday, which I just think is not ideal. The Cruise Tubers, welcome to the channel. Always good to see other cruise tubers supporting other cruise tube content creators. Getting my tongue-tied words there. All right, so you've done Seashore, Joe, and agreed. Yeah, I mean Seashore is great. I love MSC. I certainly want to go on more MSC. I think my top choices right now are going to be Celebrity and MSC. When I think about cruise lines that I want to go on the most, Celebrity, MSC. Those are the ones that I'm really gravitating towards these days. You've cruised on NCL but are starting to expand due to Casino Match, trying Margaritaville, Carnival, and Virgin. Oh, you're all over the place there, cruise tubers. I love it. This is something that I wish that I would have done earlier. Is branched out from my main cruise line. As many of you know, I was loyal to Royal for years, and it sounds like you may be the same case with NCL. And I'm so glad that I branched out and decided to start doing it differently and trying out different ones. So I've done Carnival, I've done Virgin. I keep looking at Margaritaville, but now that they do longer sailings, it's tough to find one that fits my schedule. It's also up in West Palm, which is not great for me to get to, but it's one that I'd be really interested in trying. My brother, interestingly enough, actually did a 7 night out of Tampa on Margaritaville with his family. He beat me to a cruise line, which blows my mind. But hopefully you have a great time. Take a deep breath when you go in and just know that when you go on different cruises, cruise lines, they're going to do things differently. It's granted, you're going to go and also be like, oh, like all these cruises are kind of the same thing, but they're still going to have their own nuances to it. So just go expecting a different experience, smile and be open to whatever comes your way. But you're going to find the same karaoke, the same bingo. You're going to find the same majority rules game shows. You're going to find the same movies being played. It's a very similar concept on all the cruise lines. They just have their own little ways of delivering that. Ooh, Tiffany, in my opinion, which way is better to go transatlantic? Is it east to west, so leaving, the east coast of the US and going over to Europe, or is it taking Europe and coming back? Mm, I mean, some people will say that, when you go to Europe, you lose an hour every night. I don't know that I factor that in. Um, I mean, by the time you get to Europe, if you stay longer, you're going to be adjusted to the time. And so you're going to be able to hit the ground running. I'm going to say would prefer, and I haven't done one yet. I've got my first one coming up, and it is a west to or east to west. So I'm leaving Europe and coming back to Canaveral for 15 nights out of Southampton, going south, taking the southern route because it's really late in the season. But I'm going to say that that's going to be my choice. And the reason that I say that is I can't imagine getting off of a 2 week cruise, having an amazing time, and then having to jump on a plane just to come back on a transatlantic flight and sit in economy. Because I ain't upgrading myself to first class. And the cruise is a first class experience for 2 weeks. And now I got to jump on a plane and come back. I'd much rather take that long haul flight to Europe, jump on the boat, the ship, and then come over it that way. Apparently, I'm getting tired because my words. I'm calling it a boat. It is definitely a ship. So that's my take on it. Is I'd rather come from Europe and come over, and I get to go home in the same day without that long flight. Plus, the flight out. I mean, your adrenaline's running, your dopamine's hitting, like you're ready to start your adventure, and so I think it just helps smooth that process out a little bit. But I'd probably do one both directions if I could. I mean, that's the ideal is why choose one? There's people that, and I didn't even realize that this was a thing, that will take the ship over for the season. So they will do the initial crossing from Florida, going over to Europe. They'll sail around Europe for the season. And then at the end of the season, they'll just take the same ship back to the US. And so, I mean, talk about life goals right there. Like, I would love nothing more than to take a ship over to Europe for the season and bring it back. Like, when they told me that, I was like, I'm doing that one day. Mark my word, I'm going to do it. You find Princess confusing, layout of Royal, and really love Royal's layout where everything is linear. You know what? I've gotten to where I like the linear as well. There's different cruise lines. Like when I first got on Virgin, Virgin's the most confusing ship. The way that it's kind of set up. MSC C class probably is right behind that. It takes a little while to integrate yourself into the design of the ship and knowing, okay, I've got to go. Where am I? Am I on the aft? Am I on the port side? Like I have no idea. Some of them take a little while. We'll see how Princess goes. One of my part of my creative process here, T Jonesy, that I didn't talk about earlier is I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. I don't research the cruises that I'm going on, which may be why I hated NCL. But I do it because I want my reaction, my takeaways, what I learn to be my genuine, hey, this is what you need to know if you're going on this cruise. This is what I wish I would have known. And it is not me. Yeah, I feel like when I watch videos of doing something, I feel like I've already done it. And so when I show off, I'll be like, oh, yeah, of course this is what it is. I've already seen the video for it. And to me, it takes away some of the novelty of just showing up and learning and exploring and seeing everything for the first time. Because if I've watched the videos, and I know that I'm very different than this crew on here probably, I've already done the research. It kind of spoils it for me a little bit. There's something I enjoy about just figuring it out. You like the fall 25-hour days as you go, time zones and flights look cheaper. Yep, this one, I don't know if I'm doing the last transatlantic crossing for the season of the main cruise lines, not including, Queen Elizabeth and Cunard, but it is a November 5th sailing. I'm not going to be getting back from Europe until almost Thanksgiving, which is crazy to think about. Oh, on the Islander, their new baby. Hope you all have a wonderful time over there. That makes sense, Tiffany. Yep. Definitely life goals of a season in Europe. I mean, honestly, I'd probably take a season anywhere, but I think, anywhere would be good. I mean, I think of Northern Europe is another great place that I could hang out in for a prolonged period of time. Even the Middle East, and I know that that's not a place that we're cruising to right now, but I did 14 nights in the Middle East years ago, and it was one of the best cruises. I loved it. The people were awesome. The ports were amazing, and so I would gladly do that too. World cruises, we've talked about this when Royal came up with their world cruise, seemed like a bit much to me. I think that that would be exhausting to. And there's also a lot of sea days involved with it, so you do get to rest. But world cruises just haven't been my thing. I could probably do 2 weeks of solid adventuring, it maybe three, and then I kind of go, I need to relax. Which is one reason why for my sabbatical that's coming up, it's 4 weeks of touring, and then I get on a cruise ship for a transatlantic with literally 11 sea days, so that I can just decompress and unwind. And so if you take a cruise ship somewhere for this season, you're going to go to the same places multiple times. You don't have to do it all every single time you go there because Mediterranean, you all know, can be very port heavy. You can be in a port every single day. And so I think that that would be a really cool experience. Am I happy, Douglas, with my decision to live in Miami? Very much so. I was in Boston. I loved Boston. I will always miss Boston. And when I came down here, I initially started out in Fort Lauderdale, and I did not love Fort Lauderdale. I just couldn't find my zone, my click, and so I backed out of Fort Lauderdale and came to Miami. I've really enjoyed it. It is much more expensive. I don't have to have a car here, which is nice. Transits, around here. There's things that I still value a lot more in Miami. But yeah, no, this has been a great decision for me. Oh, you're doing Virgin up in Alaska. This is their first season, Tom, up in Alaska, which you probably know. But hopefully they do a really good job of it. I don't know if there's any hiccups or lessons that they need to learn since this is their first Alaska kind of sailing. I imagine that there's plenty of people that have worked on other cruises that have gone to Alaska. It's a robust market up there, so I'm sure that they're executing a good process there. And I was the best bus driver. I absolutely was. Everybody loved me. I was a fan favorite. I think I I even got pulled over one time by a cop because he thought that I was too young to be driving. I'd forgotten about that. But I was driving the bus, and he thought like a high school student had stolen the bus, which happens. And this was back in the day when people would leave the bus keys in the bus, which was a thing. I think at this point we were probably hiding them, but it wasn't too long after that. Always good to call this out. I forget to do this, but please make sure you are pressing that like button. The thumbs up button means the world to us content creators like myself and cruise tubers here. Do make sure you are pressing that button, giving us a little bit of love. All right, we are getting down into the final, I'll say 2 hours. So I'm coming up on the end of 2 hours. I see a few more people have joined us. If you do have questions, throw those in there, and we're going to see if we can do maybe lightning round if we need to get to everybody's questions. But always glad to help you out and get you prepared for the cruises you're going on. So, Tiffany, I'm reading your note here. After 20 cruises in a row, it's tough to go somewhere else. Totally get that. Um, if you are looking to branch out, the things that motivated me to branch out were I wanted to go to some new ports. I wanted to go somewhere other than Nassau and Coco Cay. And so I wanted to go to other private islands. MSC's private island, if you're talking about weekends or just looking at their cruises in general, MSC's Marine Ocean Reserve, Ocean Cay, is absolutely stunning. It is probably my favorite private island that I have been to. Super relaxing, beautiful water, more so than anywhere else. It is hands down my favorite. So I would say that's one thing that I would consider as the itinerary. The next that really motivated me was when I started looking around and being like, all right, so a weekend cruise on Royal Caribbean is going to cost me $700, $800 an interior room. I can go on MSC for 350, $400. Uh, okay, so it's basically a BOGO. I mean, I can do two weekend cruises for the same price as a Royal Caribbean one. And so that was my logic that I leaned into. I think MSC is also a really solid product. If you still want to spend that money, you can get a yacht club experience, and it's going to be even more wonderful and at a reasonable price too. But that's how I kind of made the decision on branching out. I did Carnival one time just to check the box on Carnival Conquest, and actually enjoyed it, had a good experience. Um, Princess, I booked it for the transatlantic because it was the only transatlantic in the time period that I needed it to be to get me back to the US. And celebrities, it's part of the royal family. So I think that that's also just a really logical one. So, especially with point choice now, if you've already got all your cruises on royal and trying to make status, you can sell on celebrity and still have those points applied to your current and anchor program with Royal Caribbean. So I think for people that are looking to branch out from Royal Caribbean, celebrity is probably your first go-to. It will be an enhanced experience. It is nicer. Oftentimes it's cheaper. That's what I would probably say. Try first. If you want to do the budget play like I did, you can go straight to MSC, which is still a wonderful experience. Do I have more group cruises? Thanks for coming to LA. This is Chris. Hey, Chris. Um, I did not put that together with Mad Lorraine, but when you say Chris, I go, oh, it's Chris. How are you? So thank you for clarifying there. We do have more. So I talked about group cruises earlier. So I'm going to throw this back up on the screen to show you all who are still here what I was kind of thinking for January. Doesn't mean this is going to be it, but I wanted to get everybody's kind of reaction to these three different cruises. One leaves from Puerto Rico, from San Juan, one leaves from Barcelona, and one from Marseille, France. And so, I was really focused on the itineraries. Where are these going? And so, the one from San Juan go some really nice places. Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados, places I'd love to go back to. You've got World Asia, which will only be about 1 month old at this point. That's going to be going around the Mediterranean, including going to Malta, which is one place that I have not been, that is in Valletta. And then you've got the MSC Euribia that is going to be going to Tunis as well as the Mediterranean. So it's even going to do Northern Africa as part of its Med cruise. I think the site I was looking at even considered this to be a world cruise because it does Europe and Africa, and there's just not a bucket for that apparently. But let me know in the comments if one of these jumps out at you as something you all would be interested in doing or not doing. But these are the three that I kind of narrowed down to. This is January, right around the corner. I feel like I might be a little ambitious saying let's do this in January. I might push it off to September, but more to come. But let me know in the comments if any of this resonates with you, if there's one of these that you just like better. All right, so let's see. We've got Karen coming in with some comments. Check for status matching when you look for other cruise lines. MSC is a great status matching program. Karen, they are still doing that. I kind of forget that MSC is status matching. They will not status match into their most recent Blue Diamond tier, but if you have even hotel loyalty, you have things of that nature. If you have a credit card that gives you hotel loyalty status, you can status match into MSC. So that is a great call out, and can't believe that I forgot that. Good call out there. Chris, you can't swing Europe as I just got back from 2 weeks ago. Ah, totally get that. but we could make September work. Good to know. January, I might be a little aggressive on January. I don't mind booking a last minute trip like that, but I know everybody else is also planning trips and doing travel, and it's right after the holidays, which is tough for people. So maybe we'll shoot for Saturday, or not Saturday. Shoot for September. Clearly, I'm getting tired here. Hey there, Allie. Welcome. All right, so I think I am going to call it a night. So we were coming up on that 2 hour mark. This is normally where my voice starts falling off. I'm getting my words confused. I'm getting delirious. And my bed right there is starting to call my name. So, as always, I am honored and privileged to have you all hanging out with me for a live stream. Thank you so much for your support, for coming and hanging out. And I hope to see you on a weekend cruise soon. If not one of the group cruises, make sure you're signing up for the group cruise newsletter down below in the description if you have not done so. And that'll give you the latest and greatest. And I'll see you back here next week. Thanks, everyone. We'll chat soon.